You know that feeling at work? That constant nagging pressure to be absolutely perfect? The sense that good enough is, well, never actually good enough? So many of us live with that feeling every single day. Today, we're going to dive into some incredible research that doesn't just name this perfection trap, it actually shows us the way out.
It's the classic trade-off we're all told we have to make, right? To be a high achiever, you've got to sacrifice your own well-being. It's just the price of success. But what if that's a false choice? This whole line of research asks a massive question. Can we actually be amazing at our jobs and stay healthy and happy while doing it?
And this is where the conversation gets so much bigger than just you or me. The perfection trap isn't just about personal burnout. It's a huge obstacle to achieving two of the UN's Sustainable Development Goals, SDG 3 for good health and well-being, and SDG 8 for decent work. So solving this isn't just a workplace perk, it's a global imperative.
So, what is the actual price we pay for being caught in this trap? Let's get into the heart of the problem that this research really brings to light.
A lot of the time, that price tag has a name: workaholism. But here's the thing, it's not just about putting in long hours. The researchers make this super clear distinction. There's working excessively, that's the time on the clock, but then there's working compulsively. That's the internal, uncontrollable need to be working, even when you're not. And that second one, that's the really dangerous part.
Okay, so if chasing perfection is the problem, what's the answer? Well, the researchers argue it all boils down to a really subtle but absolutely game-changing shift in how we think.
And boom, here it is, side by side. On the left, you've got perfectionism. It's all about flawlessness, rigid standards, and it's driven by a deep fear of making a mistake. But on the right, you have excellence seeking. This is about high standards, sure, but they're attainable. It's flexible, it's focused on learning, and it's driven by a sense of purpose. See the difference? One is about fear, the other is about growth.
I love this quote from the study. It just nails it. This isn't a spectrum where excellence is just a milder form of perfectionism. No way. They're two completely different mindsets. The moment you demand total flawlessness, you've crossed a line and left the healthy pursuit of excellence completely behind.
Now, all of this sounds great in theory, but does it actually hold up in the real world with real people? Well, the researchers didn't just stop at the idea. They came up with a pretty clever way to see how these mindsets actually show up at work.
So they went out and surveyed over 1,000 professionals in really demanding jobs. And they used this cool method called latent profile analysis. Basically, instead of just looking at averages, it lets the data itself show you the naturally occurring groups or profiles of people that exist. It's like finding hidden patterns in the crowd. And what did they find? Turns out people consistently clustered into 3 very distinct profiles.
And here they are. First, you've got your non-perfectionists, who are pretty low on both scales. Then, on the other end, the perfection seekers. They're high on both perfectionism and excellencism. And for them, the tendency toward workaholism is strengthened. But look right there in the middle. That's our hero group, the excellence seekers. They have high standards for excellence, but low to moderate perfectionism. And the result? Their tendency toward workaholism is actually reduced.
That right there, that excellence seeker profile, that's the key. That is the antidote to the perfection trap. Let's look at the data because it really tells the story.
This chart just makes it so incredibly clear. Look at the perfection seekers. Their bars are the highest for both working too much and, more importantly, working compulsively. But the excellence seekers, they manage to keep the hours in check, and look at that huge drop in compulsive work. That's the obsessive, unhealthy part. They found a way to strive without the damaging side effects.
So let's just boil it all down. What did we learn? 1. Perfectionism is like gasoline on the fire of workaholism. 2. Excellencism is the fire extinguisher. 3. And this is so important. The goal isn't to stop caring. The goal is to aim for excellence, not flawlessness. And finally, there's a very real tipping point where that admirable drive for quality turns toxic. Okay? And this is where this research goes from just being interesting to being truly transformative. This is why it has such potential for real-world impact. They don't just admire the problem, they give us a roadmap to fix it. They actually built a practical, hands-on excellencism playbook. It's a toolkit for any organization that wants to build a culture that is both incredibly high-performing and deeply humane. And they make it so actionable. They lay out a 90-day plan. You start with training your managers and figuring out how you'll measure well-being. Then you pilot new ways to evaluate people that reward real excellence, not just perfection.
And then you look at the data and scale it up. It's a clear, step-by-step guide.
And the payoff? It brings us full circle, right back to those huge global goals. When companies do this, they directly contribute to better health and well-being under SDG 3 by slashing burnout. And they create better, more sustainable jobs under SDG 8. This is what responsible management looks like in the 21st century. The bottom line through all of this is so simple and so powerful. You do not have to choose between humanity and high performance. That false choice, that trade-off we've all been sold, it's a myth, and now we have the data to prove it.
So it really leaves us with this one big question to think about. Could shifting our collective focus from this impossible chase for perfection to a healthy pursuit of excellence, could that be the single biggest key to unlocking a better, more sustainable future of work for everyone? Based on this, I'd say the answer is a resounding yes.